They manage the district budgets, and it's an Excel spreadsheet on SharePoint, and many of them do a really good job, and some of them are like, oh God, it's a pain in the ass to go in there, edit the SharePoint. Is there a simpler way to go about it? John's developed a simpler way. It's going to do a little show and tell. I wanted to bring it here because I think, Jim, this could be something we can consider for the state lands team on managing budgets. That's really easy. And I also just wanted to show this team because everybody here manages budgets at some level, and just like recognize that there are other tools beyond an Excel spreadsheet that we could set up to manage it. So John's developed something. So this is just a show and tell, and think about, like, in your programs how you could use it.
Also, I'm watching the transcript run on the side. It actually asterisked out your naughty potty word.
What did I say?
ASS. It literally, I said, just watching the transcript is really funny. Thankfully, decided to add an extra S to mine. All right, so I'll just go ahead and share this stuff. So for those of you that are unfamiliar, this is the district budget tracking spreadsheet. So basically each district gets $5,000. The way that they traditionally capture this information is it's recorded by the admins through a variety of methods. So sometimes people will give the admins receipts. Sometimes they will be asked to purchase something on a person's behalf. It is a way of tracking what comes out of that $5,000 that is allocated to each budget. So you can see sort of each year gets its own Excel spreadsheet. Each district does its own tab, and it's like not that complicated, right? I mean, it's pretty basic information. And so, even so, sometimes entering information in it is not the most convenient. You got to stop what you're doing. You got to go find the place where it is. You got to go into it. You got to upload it, information into it. It's being kept in multiple different Excel spreadsheets if you're talking year over year. So if you're curious about year over year expenditures within that, 0 to 5,000 range, you've really got no idea what's going on there. You can't really do any sorting or analysis. So for instance, if you were interested in, what do we spend in terms of operations across all of these? There's no easy way to do that. I mean, you could pivot it, and we could make these all fancy tables, and we could do this whole thing with the Excel spreadsheet. But honestly, that was more work than what I did. And I'll go ahead and show you what I did. So first of all, I wanted to simplify the process of entering that invoice information into the data system. So that's what you're looking at here. It is a very simple Microsoft form that is designed to take that information in. So you enter an invoice number. So just a random number. We'll go ahead and grab an invoice date. So we'll say this happened on the 1st of the month. An invoice amount. So $785. No, that's too much. Let's say $352. You'll identify the district. I have to add headquarters to this because I just added headquarters to the main thing, even though I don't think we really use it. So we'll go ahead and add District 4. You can indicate the fiscal year purchase. This, we're imagining this starting with the next fiscal year, so starting in July. So even though 22 is on here, I'll make sure it goes away so that you can't do 22 and backdate stuff, but I've been using 22 for my testing. I'm going to go ahead and indicate the vendor as test. I'm going to leave the rest of this blank. I'll say it's ordered for John, indicate the program here. So we'll go ahead and say protection, and I'm going to submit. So boom, it took me like 2 seconds to do that. So your question is, okay, where does that data go? So that data flows via Power Automate, and I can show you that in a little bit, to this table right here. So this is a SharePoint list table. And you can see that all the past testing that I've done and a couple of test cases that I just manually entered in here. It shows up right here on the bottom, right, as the most recent one entered, 5/1/2022, the invoice number that I entered, test, description if I had entered one, who was ordered for me, protection, $352, Division 4, or District 4, fiscal year 22, right? All that information that I entered. Now we are customarily used to viewing this information by division. So this is the all items view. So this is everything. This is the full data set, but we can go ahead and very easily sort it by any individual district. So if I want to see what's going with District 4, or District 1, District 5, we can look at all of them very easily. The science of making things flow from the form to this is really, really super easy. I can just show you that real quick. I don't expect any of this to sink in, but I just wanted to show you how easy it is to build. So basically when a new response is submitted, so when this form is used, it gets the stuff in the form, which is what happens here. And then it takes that stuff that is in that form and puts them into the table. Super simple, right? And then by using the district information, we can create these views that allow us to see District 1, District 2, District 3, District 4, District 5, based on the information that it parses from the report. Now, that's pretty useful and pretty good, but it's the next level where things start to get fancy, which is when we start actually pulling data in a useful way and parsing it. And that's where this stuff comes in. So this is Power BI. This is an example of a Power BI dashboard that I just threw together. The way this dashboard works is it's pulling data off of that database. There are lots of different types of visuals that you can create, but this is designed to be like an at a glance visualization. So I actually have to fix something because I did some data updates and it is kind of weird about the updating. So none of this is like finalized or anything. Just gonna fix this. Set that to 1,000 and 4,000. So basically these work like targets. So you can say, well, we want to spend under $4,000, but the maximum that we could spend is $5,000. You can visualize your progress towards it over the year. This is not all the data from 22, because again, we're going to be starting this for 23, and I did not want to have to re-enter all of that data. Not that it would be like a ridiculous lift, but this close to the end of the fiscal year doesn't really make any sense. But as we get closer to the year, you can kind of track your progress, and Danny can look at it at a glance and be like, oh, looks like District 2 is moving at a faster pace than District 1, 3, 4, or 5. And by viewing that information, you can infer judgments. You can do things like track the date of when these invoices are happening, so we can see like maybe seasonal peaks, or we could track year-over-year data, something that we've never been able to do, right? Because you'd have to go between Excel spreadsheets. So you could say like in 2018, we used really up close to our limit, and maybe during the pandemic, we've used less in our district budgets. We could verify that, right? Because we would be able to look at the yearly data and be like, oh, look at this trending down when the pandemic happens. And it allows us to do drill downs and filters and things like that. So if I, let's say, am Kathy and I'm curious how the protection breakdown of this looks, I can easily just say, all right, well, I just want to look at protection. That's because this is the wrong district program. Oops, no. This district should be set to District 4. There we go. So now it shows up. So you can see that protection use only in District 4, and it's $500. Or if I'm interested in state lands, I can go ahead and look at just state lands. Okay, we spent $35. or thereabouts. And there's even some weird fun stuff, like, so you'll notice that there's this weird text over here. It can dynamically come up with interesting things about the data and spit it out. So like here it says like $2,000 was the highest sum of invoice total and was, 15,000% higher than this other date. And that information actually changes as you change the data that you're looking at. It's like $500 was higher than $34. We could pick and choose what we want to go here, but this is information that's being derived from that database. And, here's a different example, same data, different ways of visualizing it. We could develop pages for each division. We could develop pages for each program. There's really no limit to how we can break things down except the information that's in the database. And there's date hierarchies, there's fiscal years, there's districts, programs, every way that you can imagine to break this stuff down. We could break this stuff down. It all depends on what's useful for us. And you can make leadership decisions based on this information now in a way that just kind of felt perfunctory and as a data gathering tool for the business office. Now it's a practical tool for management purposes, and also much easier for admins to enter data. So instead of waiting for a pile to enter when you feel like it, it's like one comes in, I'll take the 2 seconds to do it. And the form can directly link off of Microsoft Teams, so you know exactly where to find it. It's just another tab in Microsoft Teams that you can go to and enter that in when you get one. And who knows, maybe at some point we even democratize the entering of this information, right? Because it's kind of hard to screw it up when all you're doing is entering information into a form. If that need arises, we can do that. And it's also, this is a really, really simple application of it, but obviously there are more complicated things that you can do. And it just requires an understanding of what the data is going to be used for and how it's going to be interpreted. So eventually, if we're talking about using it for state lands, or who knows, and it's not even limited to financial information. We can do this with anything. Yeah, Kathy.
So I know this is this is financial. Can something like this be built for? I'm just thinking like deliverables and reporting, like, so it'd be more verbiage than, or categories or something. And maybe it's a different tool, not this one, but.
So I forget what it's called, but Microsoft just released a new update that is designed around developing scoreboards. So like if you wanted to do like if you wanted to view a broad interpretation of strategic priorities and you wanted to look at all the metrics and see whether they were on target, above or below